Hello and welcome to this video. My name is Aniruddha, Victor Uniform 3, Foxtrot, Mike Lima. In this video, we are going to talk about the various equipment that is used in amateur radio and the way it is connected. So we are basically going to talk about the chain of equipment from the radio till the antenna. I came into this hobby couple of years back, and one of the questions that always bothered me was how all this equipment, the radio, the SWR meter, the tuner, or the amplifier, how is it connected? In what sequence from the radio till the antenna? And I spent some time finding the answers for this, and I thought I should make a video about it. So this video is basically only for the newcomers into this hobby, and the more advanced users may not find it very interesting, but this will answer a lot of questions in the mind of a newcomer about how the equipment is connected, in what sequence it should be connected, and why. And we will also see the demonstration of the equipment in use. So we will connect the radio to the SWR meter and connect the antenna to it and see it in operation. And then we'll go on adding one component after the other. Like for example, we'll add a linear amplifier, and we'll add a tuner, and we will make this entire chain of equipment and see how it performs, how it operates. So stay tuned. I request you to please subscribe to my channel if you find this interesting. This will motivate me to add more and more such videos that will help the amateur radio community. Thank you very much and stay tuned. Okay, so let us start with a very basic connection. First, let us see what all we have. We have a QRP radio. This is the micro BTEX. We have a SWR meter and a power meter, and we have a power supply. This is a 30 amp power supply. I'm keeping the connection side towards you so that you can see what connections we are making. Now, to start with, a very basic connection. The source of the RF power is our radio. It's going to send out that RF power towards the antenna. But we need to measure what is the forward power, which means the power from the radio to the antenna, and what is the reflected power coming back from antenna to the radio. And also we need to know the SWR, the standing wave ratio. So naturally, the SWR and power meter should be in between the radio and the antenna. So let's make the connection. This is the SO239 connector, and we are going to attach a coaxial patch cable to it, and from here this should go to the power meter and the SWR meter. Now this is a dual power meter and SWR meter. It is useful for both HF and VHF. So we have a switch here, HF and VHF, UHF. So I'm going to use this for HF, so it's on HF. And on this side you can see there are four connectors. These two are for VHF, UHF, and these two are for HF. So since we are right now going to use this for HF purpose, I'm going to connect to these connectors and leave out these two connectors. Now also for these two connectors, it's mentioned here that this is the TX side and this is the antenna side. So this is the TX connection. We are going to connect it to the SWR TX side connector. And then we have our 20 meter antenna over here, which I'm going to connect it to the antenna connector. Okay, so the connections are made, and we now need to power up our equipment. So the radio needs a power connection, and we are going to attach it here from this power supply. And since this is also a power meter, you may also get a meter which do not require power. It will be a simple inline meter, but since it has got a screen and everything, I need to provide connection to it, a power supply connection to it, and that's what I'm doing right now. Our connections are done, and I will switch on the power supply, and as you can see the forward power reading, the reverse power reading, and the SWR reading there as well. Right now it's showing 0 because we are not transmitting. I will just switch on the radio. I'll switch on the radio. It's in the 20 meter band, and I have my mic PTT connected to it, and I'm going to just give a test signal, and you can see the readings on the SWR meter. This is a Victor Uniform number 3 Foxtrot Mike Lima testing. This is Victor Uniform number 3 Foxtrot Mike Lima testing. So as you saw, when I transmitted using the microphone, you could see the output power, which would be around 4 watts as such, and depending upon the match with the antenna, you would have seen the reflected power or the reverse power and the corresponding SWR reading. So this is a very basic type of connection. Now, as you know, this is a QRP rig, and the output was less than 5 watts on the 20 meter band, and sometimes you may feel that it is not sufficient to make contacts, and you may want to increase the power or amplify the power a little bit. And so for that purpose, you may decide to use an external linear amplifier. Okay, so this is the linear amplifier that we are going to use. It is an amplifier which gives 100 watts of output. Now, as we saw before, this is a QRP radio, so the output is very less, 5 watts, and we want to amplify this 5 watts to something like 100 watts, and so that's why we are going to use this amplifier. So naturally, the output of radio should be given to the input of this amplifier, and since we want to measure the output of the amplifier, that output should be given to the SWR meter. So let's do these connections. So the output from the radio, which was going here to the SWR power meter, should be removed, and it should in turn be given to the input of the amplifier. Now the input of the amplifier takes BNC connection, and so I will have to replace this cable. So what I'm going to do is attach this cable over here. So what I'm doing is very simple. The output of the radio through this coaxial patch cable is going to the input of the amplifier over here, and now the output of this amplifier will go here. And the antenna connection remain the same. So to summarize, output of the radio is going to the input of the amplifier. We want to measure the power output and the SWR, so the output of the amplifier goes to the power meter, SWR meter, and then from there it goes to the antenna. So we have made the connections. I have also given power connections to the amplifier, and so we will see the difference as compared to the earlier setup. I hope this SWR meter is visible. I will just switch on the power supply, switch on the radio. The amplifier is turned on, and let's give a test call like before. This is Victor Uniform number 3 Foxtrot Mike Lima giving a test call. This is Victor Uniform number 3 Foxtrot Mike Lima giving a test call. So as you saw that when I gave a test call with the help of this mic, the output, which earlier was 5 watts, less than 5 watts, was now around 30 watts. So depending upon my voice, my speech, the power output could be seen. So this is the connection that we used for amplifications, for using an external amplifier. To summarize once more, the output of the radio goes into the input of the amplifier. The output of the amplifier goes into this power meter, SWR meter, and then further it goes to the antenna. So whatever output this amplifier is giving, we can measure it over here, and whatever reflected power is coming back from the antenna is also being measured, and the corresponding SWR is also being shown on this meter. So I hope this was clear enough how to use an external amplifier in this chain of equipments. Okay, so what if you wanted to use an external tuner into this chain of equipment? I use this one. This is LDG Electronics automatic antenna tuner. This will take care of any impedance mismatch occurring between the antenna and your radio. So if you're coming from the antenna into your shack, this should be the first equipment that your antenna should get connected to. It has got this antenna socket for the same purpose. So your antenna connection will go into this socket. Now there is a TX socket here. TX socket does not mean that your transmitter gets connected over here. It means that whatever equipment next to this towards your transmitter will get connected over here. So it means that this is the socket for transmitter side connection. So if your antenna is getting connected over here and you want your SWR to be measured, your SWR meter or the power meter will get connected over here. So the antenna connection will come here, and from here it will go to the SWR power meter. From the SWR power meter it will go to the amplifier, and from the amplifier it will be going towards the radio. Reverse way, the output of the radio will go to the amplifier. From the amplifier it will go to the power meter, SWR meter, and from SWR meter it will go to the TX socket, and then from antenna socket over here it will go to the antenna. I hope it's not too confusing. If you want, you can go back and watch these connections one more time to get clarification. So let's do the connection once and see how it will work. So what I'm going to do now is I will put this side towards you so that you can see the connections. The antenna is on this side and the TX socket is on this side. So we know that this is our antenna connection. So I'm going to remove it. I will be summarizing as I go along. So this is the antenna coming into the shack. So it gets connected to the antenna socket over here. The tuner will take care of the impedance mismatch, and we want to confirm the same, that it has been taken care of. So uh, the SWR meter should be connected here to the TX socket, because it is the equipment that's next to this towards the TX side. This antenna tuner will not require any external supply because there is a battery bank inside, and it will get powered using that. So where should this go? This should go here where the earlier antenna connection was. This could get a little confusing if you go by the names, but if you go by the concept, it's quite easy to understand. Don't worry, I will be summarizing this one more time if this is getting a bit confusing. So we have made the connections. Let's summarize one more time. For this particular case, we will be going from the antenna towards the radio. For earlier both cases, we went from radio towards the antenna. For this case, we'll be thinking from antenna towards the radio. Okay, so the antenna comes into the shack. It goes to this antenna socket right here. Any mismatch, impedance mismatch, will be taken care by the tuner, and that properly matched connection will be presented at the TX socket. So this is going towards your TX, the first equipment next to this towards the TX, which is nothing but this SWR meter. So this connection goes to the previous antenna port. Why? Because we are introducing the tuner in between the SWR and the antenna. The TX port, again, what is the equipment next to this towards the TX side? It is nothing but the amplifier. So this goes to the output of the amplifier, and then this connection is nothing but the output of the radio. So I hope it is clear. You can go back and view this as many times as you want. I hope that I made it clear. Now let's go ahead and see what's happening with the tuner. So let's test this tuner connections. For the time being, I have switched off the amplifier because we want to do the tuning process. I know my antenna is end-fed half-wave antenna for 20 meters, and right now I'm trying to tune it in the 28 megahertz band. So what I will do is I will speak continuously in this microphone, and you will see initially a very high SWR, and then the tuner will start its working, and you will hear the clicking of the relays, and the tuner will tune, or it will try to match the antenna on 28 megahertz with this radio. Hello. So this is the way in which all of this equipment is connected. Now you must be thinking, there are so many connections, so many patch cables going between these equipments. Also, all these equipment will require its own power connection. There are so many power connections attached to this power supply. And you are right. With increased number of interconnections, the probability of failure also increases. And I have experienced it, especially in the field. If any one of these links fail, you are left with to do nothing, and you won't be able to do what you wanted to do. So if you are a newcomer, I wouldn't suggest you going by this route of buying individual equipment and putting it together to form this chain of interconnections, I would suggest you go there and buy a commercial rig, like I did after getting a lot of experiences. I bought this ICOM IC718. I got it used uh, according to my budget, whatever I could afford. This one is a 100-watt rig, so I probably wouldn't require this linear amplifier. It shows SWR meter, it shows power meter, so I wouldn't require this unit as well. Now this does not have an inbuilt tuner, but if you're using resonant antennas, you won't require this tuner. And if you want a tuner, you can purchase something like ICOM IC7300, which has got an inbuilt tuner. So probably this will also be not required. So with elimination of this equipment, there won't be any interconnections, there won't be any separate power connections required. Your system becomes reliable, your system becomes more user friendly. You don't have to connect all these things and depend on their reliability to do any kind of operations. So I would suggest going by this route, buying a commercial rig which has got all this equipment inbuilt, so that you will be able to enjoy your ham radio even more reliably. I hope you have enjoyed this video. I hope you got something out of it. What are your opinions about this? Please put them into the comment section. These are my views. This is something that I learned from experience and I wanted to share it with you. Also, please consider subscribing to this channel. It gives me great motivation to put out new content. I hope you have liked this video. Give it a thumbs up and share it with your friends. Until next time, see you around.